Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello, family.
So, guys, it's coming to me today that, we got like a week, maybe, before the lit fuse lets off its first major explosions, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot of things are coming to a head. A lot of things are coming to the forefront. There's been a lot of things exposed.
And, the great divide is getting greater by the moment. By the moment, when you look at it, you know, if you guys are paying attention to anything happening in certain states, like today, for instance, if you're paying attention to what is going on in Georgia, Georgia, when I think about Georgia, I think about peaches and barbecue. That's really what I've always thought about. And driving through, beautiful area. It's the South and the Deep South as well. Yet today, there was a lot of interesting stuff going on in Georgia and a lot of irregularities being exposed. And it's not just there either. There's this huge divide going on right now. Huge, huge. And so you have senators on one side saying things are wrong and we just can't stand for this. And then you have the senators on the other side saying, well, that's treasonous talk. Both sides thinking the other side is committing, treason. And if we were on a pirate ship right now in the old days, you'd have the two groups each trying to push the other off the plank.
And at the same time, they are throwing stuff out there just to get us at each other's throats, too. It's a very nasty game that they play, but gosh, they're good at it.
So many things are being exposed. It's making your head spin. Like basically, well, just showing that it's possible to, quote unquote, hack into a system. And, it's staggering what's coming out right now. It's staggering. But at the same time, it's not unexpected. And I know there's a lot of new people that have just joined us recently, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of you guys saying out there in the comments, yeah, this is going down like you guys said it was going to go down months ago. And we are just really relaying the information that we are getting from our sources, which are our personal guides as well as guides from the Galactic Federation, the Pleiadian Council, as well as some others.
Yeah, and hopefully some of the information will help you guys gather your footing and stay centered and grounded, because things that we're going to go through, they're not going to be easy. And there might be times when, we're not going to know what to do, and that's where we're going to have to be able to find our center.
Like, this one, 5 months ago, disclosure, which we've been talking about, and WAR, which we all, they're coming out at the same time. And this one also 5 months ago, the great shift at the end of the year 2020, because there is a huge, huge shift going on. And, for months we've been talking about this, and I've actually looked at some of the old videos I put up in 2017, as far back as like September and October of 2017, and it's all kind of coming down as planned, as we've seen. And this is a plan. This is, as we've said, this is like watching the WWE. It's meant to look really like, it's a real happening, a real sporting event. But in reality, what we're watching is a drama, with a cast of characters. Now, not all the characters understand they're in a drama. I mean, some of them think that they're actually in the midst of a match, so to speak.
Yeah, and it feels like it too, though, because things really are intense. The energy is difficult right now for everybody. And it's like they know just when to light these fuses, and they know exactly when to, make certain moves to give something momentum to have everything, kind of tip.
Yeah, we saw it, and I gotta still go over the pictures because we had just gotten back. We were hiking after having like 3 super busy days where we didn't get to step out of the house at all. And I saw something going overhead, and it wasn't giving any emissions off. Um, and so I did get a couple pictures of it that look interesting. First, I thought it was one of these. I thought maybe it was, something like a drone, which it still might be. Or it might be something different, maybe not human made as well. And then there was an interesting plane that went after it, which looked to be military. And again, we're not near really any bases or anything, not near any population centers. Don't know where they're going. Um, but anyway, we're going to be seeing stuff like this because Cindy was getting in the last meditation we just did today, about 20 minutes ago before we started to put this together, that we're going to see over U.S. skies battles with drones and other things.
Yeah, it did feel definitely like the US, and they showed me a picture of a drone, and then they showed me bullets going in it, like all the way around it, kind of destroying it completely.
Yeah, and it's part of what's coming. So there's so much talk about the Great Reset, and we've done 3,000 videos, over 3,000 videos, with tens of millions of views that they show, and we're suspicious that there's hundreds of millions of views. So we have touched on this subject, though we're not always looking at the financial things as anything other than just a tool that is being used to keep this drama going along. But yeah, the Great Reset, that's a button that's getting pushed, and that's part of everything that's going on. And quite a few people were commenting on a video that I didn't watch because I know everything that's in it. Catherine Austin Fitz was talking about the Great Reset. I mean, we've known all this for a long time. It's all part of the bigger plan. And unfortunately, their plans are not necessarily going to have all of us included in it, so to speak.
Yeah, they have things that are selected. They have things that are going to happen that are going to, change the landscape of life, how we know it today. And it's going to change drastically. I'm hoping it won't change too fast because humans need time to adjust, change. And I don't know how it's going to go down exactly, but we're headed there.
So a lot of you are familiar with this. This is also the great state of Georgia. And when we look at the number that's given there, that is so small. That's less than like a 15th of the population that's on the planet. But when we look at the bigger picture, this has happened in the past. This has happened before. When we asked and got an answer how many times this has happened, it was mind-blowing. Do you remember when like this has happened hundreds of times. Now the Mayans, have their calendar, and we've talked a lot about the Mayans and the Hopi. We've talked about the fifth world. We're emerging into the fifth world. Well, really, this might be the 500th world when you get down to it. It might be the 5,000th world. Mm-hmm. Now that would be mind-blowing to think about how many times the population has been reset down to a very, very manageable number.
I do feel like we all kind of carry with us some kind of trauma, especially those who are what you might call preppers. Our DNA has been through this before, so we know that it's coming. It's just this inner knowing.
And again, they use the financial system as a tool. It's just a tool. And it's almost really silly when you really look at it from a certain perspective of how we're always running on the wheel, just trying to keep up with the system to make ends meet. Many times, people will just have to keep up with the Joneses. It's status, things that appeal to us from an ego perspective. I do think that in these times now, that's starting to change. People's priorities are changing. Now it's starting to get to be more of a case of survival. And more people are recognizing that we are in a battle for survival right now. It literally is a battle for survival.
It is, and our hearts, our mind, and our souls, those are also up for grabs, but we need to understand that so that we can come out of this okay.
I've talked about many times numbers that were off of a site, which a lot of people have debated, and I think they want to look at it like it's got to be earth change related. The huge population decreases that we see in certain spots that are being forecast for just 4 years away now. 4 years. But when I really dug deep into this, and I went through every single country in the world's numbers, and I put them on a spreadsheet, what it showed was that the big decreases were in NATO countries and the allies of the U.S. and NATO. So that also included like South Korea and Japan, as well as, others as well. And that site, we've talked about so many times. And these numbers were mirrored in some documents that went missing that had a certain agenda number attached to them. And I did have them I have them, I think, in my old computer, which I still have it. I could see if I could dig up that screenshot of it. The numbers go along with this as well. Now you can't find those anymore on the internet. At least maybe somebody else has them, hidden away. When we recognize the bigger picture, and I know there's people out there that still believe that the Earth is the center of the universe, and in one perspective it's the center of ours at the moment. But when we recognize that there's other forms of intelligent life out there, they've been here the whole time. They've been here before Homo sapiens sapiens. And, we're surrounded by all sorts of beings. Beings walk through you every day and in different densities. And you might not notice it, or you might feel like a cold draft or something gives you a chill.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty common. And, if you open yourself up to it, it can be overwhelming. So they don't teach us these things, and it makes for kind of a difficult time if you're highly sensitive.
We were asking the guides about the Tower of Babel incident and what really happened. And basically it was, again, all about keeping us in control. And we could look at it like right now, our entire civilization is a rebuilt Tower of Babel. Mm-hmm. It's a rebuilt Tower of Babel. And here we go again.
Yeah, it is all about communication and cutting that off or confusing it, like they say.
It's about control, and it's about keeping control over a manageable number. And so we know this word's really, really buzzing around the globe right now. And yeah, that's part of the plan. Again, control, keeping people in lower vibration, keeping people in lower frequency, and that ultimate singularity that will come when Homo sapiens sapiens is no more and there is something else that's replacing it. Now, organically, that's going to happen anyway, because Homo sapiens sapiens will be changed by natural processes, as we've talked about so many new species being found. And we look back and we see, Neanderthals gone. We have some of their genes in some of us. Same thing with Denisovans. Cro-Magnon's gone, and so is, Australopithecus, Ramapithecus, Homo erectus, Homo habilis. All these different types of hominid beings, humanoid beings that are no longer with us, but once did walk this earth. And so going one step past all this is the merger with technology. And again, how much easier to control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot easier to control if they have us injected with little micro antennas that they can control what goes in and out of that.
And when the henchmen of the powers that be, that are not necessarily Homo sapiens sapiens, were here before, they were the ones that carried out that Tower of Babel incident, and as well as other incidents too. And many people have conjectured what happened with Sodom and Gomorrah was perhaps, again, something coming from the sky. You see a light from the sky, a flash, and it's just pillars of salt.
Right. So if we look at these things and look back and really, really read what it says, we can make some modern day parallels.
Oh, yeah. The parallels are there. And, the evidence is there too. I mean, these writings that we have from Sumeria are, several thousand years older than anything biblical. We were given the biblical texts because, again, what we have in the Bible, 66 books hand selected, whereas there were several hundred gospels alone. And everything that didn't get in the official canon was burnt. And then when people wouldn't convert, like if a Gnostic wouldn't convert, well, then he was killed, because he was a heretic. This controlling of information has gone on. We've had book burnings. The Nazis did the same thing, and now we have cyber burnings, so to speak, going on as well. But these guys, they're not waiting up at the local, to go up to the bar. They're not waiting in line to, go to the buffet. They're actually chained with their hands behind their back, and there's a rope around each one of their necks as we see these much bigger beings giving direction, and we see the ship in the sky. And again, this is an interdimensional thing as well. And so that's something else to remember as well. And, when we look at what is supposed to happen, we see Revelation, and we see Christ, returning with the saints on the white horse, right? That's really curious. It really is curious. Because, Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu, and the next avatar to come is Kalki, and you know what? He's riding on a white horse as well. Interesting, is it not? I mean, the coincidences. Now, Krishna, again, predates Christ by 3,100 and probably like somewhere around 6 to 10 years. Yet the Hopi are waiting for White Pahana, the true white brother, that is a benevolent being that is going to come and help them to restore the planet. The Rainbow Warriors. The Rainbow Warriors represent people of all tribes, all faiths, the ones that are going to survive. It's not that one particular dogma survives. No, it's people from all different countries, nationalities, all different dogmas. Or perhaps they have no dogma, and they're simply spiritual beings. The ones that survive and restore, it's going to be all about the vibration of their heart and what their intent is. That is the key. It's not dogma. And so at some point we will have aid. There will be aid here from other places, and they will help us to restore things. But we do have free will, and they're waiting for us to wake up.
Mm-hmm. They are. They're waiting for us to rise up. They're waiting for us to do the right thing, take responsibility for ourselves, for our own actions. And it might really feel like you don't have a lot of control over what's going on outside of you or around you, but you do have control of your actions and doing things, to keep your vibration high, like eating good, hygiene, sleeping, taking good care of yourself. Those things really, really matter. It might seem small, but those are so important to help change the course of things.
And so when we've talked about how do you know all these things are going on? Well, everything has been planned. We talked about 1871, the Banking Act, as well as, A. Pike and 3 WW apostrophe S's. There's so many different things we've talked about. Back in January 11th, 2017, a certain MD who happened to be the director of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases said there's no doubt that the current POTUS would face exactly what we're facing now. How did he know? Well, again, it's WWE. This is all part of the script. It's all part of the script. So, when we look at 1900, the last president, when they're all together, Congress is all together, right, in one place, and the president addresses them, and he's not supposed to, and he does address them. Then the end of the book ends with a blast, and there is no more Congress. And the second civil insurrection, so to speak, is underway. January 6th. I feel it could be very explosive.
It very well could be. It's definitely looking like there's some kind of a build up, on a 3D level, on a physical sense, with all of these accidents that keep happening. That's what I'm thinking about.
Now, again, what we're getting to is the fact that there's certain countries that have been dominant in this phase of, our world. Those countries might end up like Atlantis and Lemuria, is basically the bottom line, and not factor in what's to come. Because if these are taken away, what is left? What's the dominant force in the world? Well, it's basically two countries that already have in complete totalitarian systems. Complete. That would be what would dominate the rest of the world into this new order that comes through the Great Reset. These other countries that dominated and ruled the world, just like Atlantis sinking in a day, are not really going to figure in on the plans, because they have other plans for these countries, of which we are in.
Right, they do have plans, and we're going to have to kind of be in a position where we're sitting back and watching, but we don't have to be so emotionally involved. We really need to keep that in our minds.
Yeah, the fuse is definitely lit, guys. So what can we do? What can we do? Well, one thing is we have to keep waking up as many people as possible. We have to get people to the point where they're not going to be, just because, they might be supporters of one side and the neighbors supporters of the other side, and then chaos breaks out. And what are they doing? Well, they're at each other's necks. You got to recognize that, there's puppeteers with the strings that are orchestrating everything. They want that. They totally want that. And we've also talked about the fact that there are industries that have made a literal killing over, the industry of WAR, supplying both sides and getting very, very wealthy and gaining more and more control and power. So we have to wake people up, but wake up also to the fact that what they're seeing is a drama that has been laid out. And it still boggles my mind when, we'll have people that we know and know very, very well, and they'll make statements like they can't believe what's going on. Why can't you believe what's going on? This has been telegraphed. It really, we've known all along this is what is part of their plan. So, raising the vibrations of the consciousness of everybody on the planet is the key. It really is the key. And getting out of the system, stepping out of the way, like the Galactics gave Cindy the diagram of a figure eight, and saying, you're going to see the energy coming, and it's going to swing around, and it's going to start heading straight at you like a freight train. Jump out of the way. Jump out of the way of the train and let it go by you. And so, see if you could, decipher what that means for you. Continue to put out your light into the world. Continue to lift up as many people as you can. Continue to help your neighbors. When things go crazy, there will be some people hoarding food, and there will be some people saying, you look hungry, come in for a meal. Like the Good Samaritan actually opening up the door and saying, come in, here, have a meal.
And, our heart chakras are opening wider. They are bigger. So that's important to keep in mind too. I think they're counting on a lot of people to turn against each other and harm each other and hurt each other. But no, I don't see that. I see a lot of open heart chakras where, they might just be surprised at how well we do get along and care for each other.
Yeah. So as we had said before, brace yourselves because, it's about to start now. It's really about to start in earnest. We've seen this building. There's been a lot of major events already, and the big stuff is about to really roll out. So don't be caught in the tidal wave. Get yourself up out of the water and rise above it.
Yes, be really, really safe.
Thank you guys so much for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Make sure you're subscribed and have the bell clicked for all the notifications. If anybody needs to reach out to us, it's EEARTS at ProtonMail or evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. Stay prepared. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.